I guess Neeraj, we can start because there are ample number of people that have joined already.
Okay, so guys, just to brief you, the session is about React hook forms, and it's kind of a library, and it helps you to kill the complexity of managing form with the React. That's the overall brief. Okay, you'll understand it more, though. I mean, theoretically, it would not be, possible to explain everything, right? So over to you, Saurabh. Just explain how we can use these React hook forms for app development and how to kill those complexities. Right? Thank
Sure.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you everyone
So
for
teacher,
joining
you
in.
are on mute if you are saying something.
No, you guys, we can carry on with this.
Oh,
Thank you so
okay.
much.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for joining in and putting your valuable time for the session. So without any delay, let's move towards the session where we'll be discussing about React hook form. But before starting the session, let's not forget the knowledge etiquettes. So do join the session 5 minutes prior to the session start time. Make sure to submit a constructive feedback for all sessions as it is very helpful for the presenter. Keep your mobile devices in the silent mode and feel free to move out of the session in case you need to attend any urgent call, and avoid any unwanted chit chat during the session. So in this session, we'll be discussing about a React form library, that is React hook form. What exactly is React hook form? How it is better than the other forms available, like we are having Formic and Redux form as well. How to integrate this particular React hook form with the Next.js. Then we'll be seeing some of the features of the React hook form that it supports out of the box, followed by a demo. So what is React hook form? React hook form is basically a small library that helps you manage a form state and its validations. It helps you manage complex forms with ease, having excellent performance, and is super lightweight with zero dependencies. The React hook form focus on eliminating the amount of work a developer has to do while writing a form component and handling all the data for the forms. It also reduces multiple re-renderings that happens when we handle a form. Like in React, if we create a simple form, so on every keystroke when we are entering the data into the input fields, the component itself get re-rendered, and that affects the performance of the overall application. So it eliminates that particularly re-rendering of the component and improves your application of the improves the performance of your application. Now, with that, we have learned what exactly React hook forms is. Let's move to look how it is different from another forms available. So React forms hook better than other forms. Let's see. So the first thing is render isolate components. So in React hook form, your component can be isolated and you can avoid the re-rendering of other components. Like if you are having the children components of your form component, then with other available React libraries of forms like Formic or Redux, the child for component gets re-rendered and that impacts the overall performance. But with React hook form, you can isolate that particular form component, and this will avoid re-rendering of the child components that will result in an overall better performance of your application. The second is reducing re-rendering. So not only it is giving you the isolation for the component, but it is also avoiding the re-rendering of the component on the events like on change and on blur. So whenever we fire an event like on change or on blur on any of the form input fields, the component gets re-rendered. But with React hook form, it is completely avoided. Even when on change or on blur events like called, the component doesn't render itself. Now the faster mounting process. So React hook form is 13% quicker than Formic and 25% faster than the Redux form to mount. The other form libraries like Formic and Redux form, they get slower into the DOM elements. But this particular React hook form loads faster and will result a better performance. Enter subscription changes. It allows you to subscribe to each input component without going through re-rendering cycle of your component. So without going through the hassle of re-rendering, you can subscribe the change to all your input components. It also comes with the TypeScript compatibility. So you can define the type of data that you are storing for your form. So you can simply define an interface where you will be like, I'm having a form of two input fields where I'm having name and email. So you can define the data as name, it will be a string, and the email, it will also be a string. So you can define the form data type as it comes with the TypeScript compatibility. Less code to maintain. So there are fewer bugs when there is less code. If you write a code of 4 lines only, there will be a chance that there will be no bug in. But if you write a code for 400 lines, there will be a big chance of having bugs in that code. So it helps you to write less code that is easily maintainable, as it offers you a hook, use form hook, that provides you the handle, submit, register, and error methods and props. So it makes the overall code less. We'll see how we can use the use form hook in the demo. Now integration with Next.js. So to integrate the React hook form with Next.js, you will simply create a Next.js app by running the command npx create next app, and whatever will be the name of your application. After answering all the questions, when your next app is created, you will simply go into the terminal and write the command npm install React hook forms. Let's see it in action. So here I am already created a Next.js project. Now I want to integrate the React hook form into my Next.js project. So here you can see into the package.json file, we don't have React hook form yet. No dependencies added here. Now to install, we can simply write the command npm install react hook form. And after installing, you can see the dependency is listed here as React hook form. Back to the slides. So in this way, you can integrate the React hook form into your application. Now, how we can, after the installation of the React hook form, how we can just put it into the form component. So let's see that as well. Now, so we have installed the React hook form here. So now I have already created a form component that is completely based on HTML for now. We haven't used React hook form here. So if I run npm run dev, that is the command to start your development server in the Next.js. When you go to the localhost 3000, you can see a simple form with two fields. The first one is name, and the second one is email, and a submit button to submit this form. So this is completely made on HTML, and I have already added some of the stylings for it so that it looks better. Now, after that, we have installed the React hook form. Let's import it in our component. So we are importing use form hook that React hook form provides us from React hook form. Now, since it is a hook, we can call it into our component. And we can grab the form object from it. This way, we are having the form object here now. So we did this particular part. We imported the use form hook into our component. Now, then inside your component, use the hook as follows. So now how you can use this particular hook to register your input fields. So we have the form object here, and it is object. So we'll be using object destructuring for it. So this particular object gives us a method called register. So we can just destructure the register method from the form object that we got from the use form hook. Now, this is our first input field name. So what I can do here is, now this particular register method gives you some of the methods itself. So that could be name, reference, on change, the event that is called on change, and on blur. We are destructuring it from register itself, and we are registering our first field name here. So we registered our input field here and we have extracted these 4 events and attributes from this registered method. Now we can move to our input field and write name as name, then ref as ref, on change as on change that we have in the above code, and then on blur and on blur. Now this particular input field is totally controlled by React hook form. But there is one thing, as we saw here, that it allows you to write less code to maintain. But here we can see in the code we have to write a lot. We have to place these 4s here, then we have to declare a registered method. So to improve it, we can just simply comment this out. Or you can remove the particular register line from here, and you can also remove all these lines. You don't need it. You can simply use the spread operator, the 3-dot operator, spread. Now what you can use, you can simply type register here and pass in the name of your input field, and it's done. So the 5 line of code, 1 here and 4 here, is now converted into a single code. So this is how it helps you write less code. And although all this component, all the data that will be coming in this particular input field is now controlled by React hook form. So let's move on to the next slide. Use form hook. We already saw what it returns: an object containing few properties. So we assigned here the form object, and from the form object we got the register method. Now you can see here, this is the syntax that we have used in the slide. So that's why I already showed you how this syntax works in the behind. So this particular spread operator is a new implementation to the library that allows you, that enables the strict type checking in the forms with TypeScript. So it is basically for the type checking of your form components. Like you are having the input field. So whether it will be a name, it will be a type of number or a string. Now, so one thing more, what we discussed in the earlier slide, like it reduces re-rendering. But how can we justify that it doesn't re-render many times? So we can see that as well in action. Let's declare a render count variable here. I'm assigning it to 0 for now. And in the component itself, I am just incrementing this count by 1. Let's add render count plus plus. And let's display this render count value here itself after the title. So now when we come to the localhost 3000 and we refresh the page. Okay, so this is some update in Next.js, as we are using the use context behind the scenes of use form, and this particular code is server side. So we have to use the use client tag in the top of the file to get rid of this error. So now you can see here 3. Why it is 3? I'm just telling you. So in the strict mode, behind React itself displays a component into 2 times itself. So that's why it's 3. But let it be 3 for now. So our form rendered here and the count value we are having is 3. Now in a usual form, when you hit the keystrokes to enter your details here, this particular render should change because the component gets rendered on every keystroke. But in use, if you are using the React hook form, I'm typing everything here and you can see the render count is not increasing. It means the component is not being re-rendered every time. So that's how this form help you in achieving the performance. So apart from that registered, we also have a handle submit function that is provided by the form. So we can import here as register and handle submit. So this will help you submit your form that you will be seeing in detail in the demo. So the handle submit takes takes a submit function as an argument. So you can pass the submit, whatever submit function you have written, you will be just passing that submit function to the handle submit, and then it will simply have the access to all the data that you fill into the form. So behind the scenes, you don't have to manage any of the data for the form. Also, if you are dealing with the usual forms, you have to handle the on change event by yourself. You have to handle all the validations by itself. But if you are using the React hook form, you can simply impose validation on any of your fields, just with some piece of code. Or I can say that with a single line. Like here you can see, we have made the name as required. So if I want my particular input field to be required, so I can just simply do what, like we have registered the name here, I will be just passing another argument as object, and I will be typing required and will set it to true. Now this particular field will become required. As like required, we have more validations, like we can use the min length, the particular min length of a string, or the max length can be defined. The min max for a number can be defined. You can define the type, that whether it will be an email, number, or text, or a pattern. If you are using email and you want an email has a certain particular pattern like test@gmail.com, so it will be matching that particular pattern when you submit the form. And if there will be any error, the form will not get submitted. So you don't have to take care of the changing events manually. You don't have to enforce the validations manually. React hook form will do all the heavy lifting for you. And even this particular library is improving the performance of your application by restricting the re-rendering part. So I hope till now you have understood all the things. If you guys have any of the question, you can surely ask.
Looks like there is no question as such.
Okay. Okay, then let's move to the next slide. What features the React hook form have? So the very first feature is hook based. As you see, React hook form provides you a use form hook that helps you achieve all the things. So it is hook based. Also, you can define your custom hooks there, in which you will be placing all your logic related to reusing any of the values and all. It is having the validation system that I already showed you, that you can write required as true and complete the particular input field will be required, the min max, the pattern and all. So it is having that validation part also. It is having a controller component that will help you integrate inputs seamlessly into your form without providing any values or validation rules. Now it basically works on the uncontrolled component manner. So that's why when just because it is working on the uncontrolled components manner, it allows you to you don't have to keep the track of the values manually, but the React hook form will keep the track for that whether it is valid input, whether it is having form, whether it is having value, whether this particular input field is touched, whether the value is edited, that is dirty. So it will handle all those things because of this uncontrolled component nature. However, the other form that you define in your React is basically a controlled component where you have a use state, basically a state variable for each of the input field that you place there. Now the async validation, so you can make API calls asynchronously, and the validation will also work in that manner only. Form state management, it handles the internal form state, and you don't have to worry about that how you will be handling all these stuffs. Also, it comes with the boilerplate code that you can use for building a better form. It also supports dynamic form, like any of the fields can be removed or added dynamically on the fly in your form depending upon the condition that you have put it there. Testing, you can easily test the React hook form. You can easily write the unit test cases for your component that is having your React hook form, and you can easily write test cases for the validation logics as well. So these are the couple of features. These are the couple of features that supports React hook form out of the box and makes your overall development process easy. I hope when you go through the demo and you start creating even a simple form by your own, you will have a feeling that yes, this particular library is going to ease my work and I don't have now worry to about all the heavy liftings that a form do. And this particularly if you are having a form with 3 to 4 fields, that is easily manageable. You can manage it on your own. You can do all the things manually. But what if a form is having somewhat around 50, 60 fields, or a form that is having dynamic fields, like when you click on something, when you fill some value, you get the dynamic fields added there or removed there. So in that complex form, this particular library will help you a lot to develop that is and will save your time. So I guess we can now move to the demo. So I'm handing it over to the Pushpen.
Yeah, thank you, Saurav, for all these amazing slides and presentation. Uh, Everyone, now I will start the demo part. So let me share my screen first. Please confirm if it is visible to everyone.
Yes, Pushpen, it's visible.
Okay, great. I already created a new next tab and added the form component, and now we already get the understanding like how to import the use form hook. And to save some time, I added some code here as well. So let's start. Let's start one by one. Like what is the use of these lines? So first, I imported this use form hook from the React form hook package. Then in the component, I will use use form hook to access all the methods. And the first method is the register method, and the second one handle submit and get values. And to catch the errors, I access this form state object, which will return us all the state of the forms. So I can access the error and all the state of the this current form. Okay, so this object will help us to understand the track of the state of the forms. Okay, so as you got the understanding, like what is register, let me refresh the concept. Like register method is used to register input field into the hook form, so we can track the changes and add the validation accordingly. So this register method will be used in the input validation. The second one is the handle submit, which is the function which will receive all the data from after the all the validation successfully. If it got some errors, so we can't be able to submit the forms. Okay, so and this one is the get values. Get values method, which is used to access and read the values from the form. And the last one is the object, which contains all the information and the form state, and we can track the errors using this object, which will help us to add the validation and show the errors to the user. Other than that, I'm also using some tricks to console the values. This one is this get values to show these individual input. Like if I wanted to access the name values and the changes in the name values input, so I can use get values and pass the field of the name. I'm also setting the default values here. If I wanted to add multiple values, I can do that as well. Other than that, if I wanted to check the type of the errors, I can check in this error dot name dot type to check like what type of the error it is coming. Sometimes we add multiple errors to track the max length or required values required or not required. So we can check the type and define the error itself. Okay, so in the JSX part, I already added the form, adding the one input field with the name, which will contain which already have one required field. So if I wanted to make this field non-required, so I can only have to remove this. So it's non-required now. This one will be required. If I wanted to add this max length or min length here, I can do that as well. Like if I wanted to name max length will be 10, I can do that as well. Okay. And let me try adding some more values in the form as well. Like if I wanted to add mobile number, I'm just setting the default value as blank string. After that, I can pass one more value with the email, and last one will be the address. So these are the basic values. If I wanted to add some static address, I can add like any default address, but I am saving as blank right now. Okay, so if I wanted to access these values, I just copy paste the one and change with the mobile number label, and I can access with the mobile number, and the max length will be 10. So I'm not adding any max length in the name field. I'm just removing that. And if I have to access the arrow of this mobile number, I can access from this one, arrow dot mobile number. Okay, if I want to add email one, I can change this to mobile number to email. So first I just created the structure. I only have to just copy paste and add the new values. Error state I'm getting from this object form state object, and I'm accessing the track of the errors. Now if I wanted to add the pattern and also paste the pattern, I just copy the pattern here, copy from here. Simple email pattern which required to enter a specific email like @ and after that add the .com. And the last field will be the address one. I think it's not required here. And let's make this one non-mandatory field. If you just want to add an address, they can. If they don't want, so they can simply skip this. So there are two errors in mobile number. First one is the required one, and second one is the max length. So I just added first when this field is required for required message, required error. But I have to add this one as well. So I need to check the length of the mobile numbers. This error is show to the user like please enter exact 10 numbers because number can't be more than that. I think we are good. Let's just run the app and let's see the output. I think it's ready. So our form is ready. I just imported the CSS file, added the CSS file into global CSS. So that's why the blue background is blue. Now let's try with the blank form. Try to hit it. So this we can't able to hit this form with the blank values. Validations are showing like this field is required, file number is required, email is required, and address is non-mandatory field. So address is not showing any kind of error. Okay, let's try with this. Let's first skip the address part and let's start with. So now we are getting all the values, correct values, name, stream, file number, email, and address is, we are not passing any address, so address is going as a blank. Okay. Let's try entering maximum more than that. So it's showing like please enter exact 10-digit number, and we can add multiple logics to show only this error, and we can do that in next session or after that. So we just try with this non-mandatory field, and yes, so everything is working fine. Like all the if I want to hit the submit button before entering all the values, so form validation will not allow me because these are the mandatory fields: name, mobile number, email. Yeah, so this all from the demo part. Yes, so that's it from my side as well. If anyone having any question or doubt, we can discuss. Hello, I'm audible.
Yeah, Pushpin.
Yeah, okay. So I wanted to mention one more thing, like this is the power of this library. Just like I just added all the new form values with the validation part in just 2-3 minutes. And if we use some other approaches, it will take 2-4 hours with some extra code lines and extra headache.
Yeah, and that's the main objective of this library, right? So
Yes.
that you will write less code, and less code means a lot of time saving and the complexity will be killed, right? Even you'll write
Yes.
less unit test cases, right? Because the code will be less. Okay.
Yes, yes.
There are multiple benefits, so start using it, right? And take advantage of this session as well. Do share your feedback if you need some enhancement in these sessions as well, right? And if you want to learn more, you can reach out to Frontend Studio. Anybody from Frontend Studio, they can help you out, right? As I mentioned, do share feedback, and if you think like there's some enhancement required, right, that we'll address in the upcoming sessions. Nice session, Pushpin and Saurabh. It was well explained.